The Verdanian High Council had witnessed many species attempt the trial of Kethmoran. The ancient jungle world served as the galaxy's ultimate proving ground, a hellscape of carnivorous flora, toxic atmospheres, and predators that had evolved beyond nightmare. It was said that the jungle itself was alive, malevolent, and hungry. Commander Zethka of the Verdanian fleet watched through the orbital monitoring station as the latest candidate prepared for deployment. The human stood barely 2 meters tall, unremarkable in build, with pale skin that seemed almost translucent compared to the chitinous armor of most spacefaring species. No natural weapons, no protective carapace, no venom sacs, just soft flesh wrapped around fragile bones. "This is madness," muttered Subcommander Lithar, his forearms gesticulating wildly. The Corvani Empire sent their finest warriors, genetically enhanced super soldiers with acid blood and diamond-hard claws. All 3,000 died within the first week. Zethka nodded grimly. The Corvani had been impressive specimens, each standing 3 meters tall with natural weaponry that could slice through starship hulls. The jungle had consumed them like they were nothing more than protein snacks. The Zenthari Collective deployed their hive mind drones. Lithar continued pulling up holographic records. 12,000 units perfectly coordinated, equipped with plasma weaponry and environmental suits rated for Class X death worlds. The jungle killed them all within 72 hours. The human below seemed oblivious to the statistical impossibility of survival. Dr. Sarah Chen, the nameplate on her simple environmental suit read, was conducting final equipment checks with the methodical precision that humans were known for. Her gear was unremarkable. Basic atmospheric recyclers, a simple pulse rifle, standard rations, and oddly, a small metal tool that the scanners identified as a hatchet. What is that primitive implement for? Zethka wondered aloud. The deployment pod launched, carrying the human toward Kethmoran's surface. The High Council settled in to watch what they assumed would be another brief, violent demonstration of the jungle's supremacy. The betting pools had already closed. Most wagered the human wouldn't survive the first night. Dr. Chen's pod crashed through the canopy and slammed into the forest floor. Immediately, the jungle's defenses activated. Acid-spitting thorns erupted from seemingly innocent vines. The very air shimmered with neurotoxic spores. Somewhere in the distance, the hunting roar of a Kethmoran apex predator, a creature the size of a starship with teeth like plasma cutters, echoed through the green hell. But the human did something unexpected. She didn't run. She didn't immediately seek shelter or high ground like every other species had attempted. Instead, she stood perfectly still and observed. For 27 minutes, she simply watched and listened. She noted wind patterns, the behavior of smaller creatures, the rhythm of the jungle's breathing. When she finally moved, it was with purpose. The Verdanians watched in fascination as Chen began to work. Where other species had tried to fight the jungle, she adapted to it. She used the acid-spitting plants to clear paths, timing their defensive cycles with mathematical precision. She followed the flight patterns of native insects to locate clean water sources. When the massive predators hunted, she didn't hide. She observed their patterns and used their territorial behavior to create safe corridors. Days turned to weeks. The human not only survived but began to thrive. She crafted tools from the jungle's own materials, turning deadly flora into useful resources. The thorns that had killed thousands became needles for improvised medical procedures. The toxic sap that dissolved Corvani armor became waterproofing for her shelter. "This is impossible," Lithar whispered as they watched Chen build an efficient water purification system from hollow bones and mineral deposits. "She's using the jungle's own weapons against itself." But the most remarkable moment came in the third week. A pack of Kethmoran stalkers, nightmare creatures that had single-handedly wiped out an entire Zenthari battalion, cornered the human in a clearing. Each stalker stood 4 meters tall, with razor-sharp appendages and the ability to phase partially out of normal spacetime. The human didn't reach for her weapon. Instead, she reached for her hatchet. What followed defied every xenobiological model the Verdanians possessed. Chen moved through the stalker pack like water, her simple metal tool becoming an extension of her will. She didn't try to overpower the creatures. She redirected their aggression, used their momentum against them, turned their pack coordination into a liability. Within minutes, the most feared predators on Kethmoran lay dead around her feet. Then she began chopping. "What is she doing now?" Zethka asked, though he suspected he knew. The human was harvesting. The stalker remains became raw materials, bones for tools, hide for improved clothing, organs for chemical compounds. Nothing was wasted. She had transformed apex predators into resources as casually as others might gather berries. By the end of the first month, Dr. Chen had established a sustainable base camp. She had mapped the jungle's patterns, cataloged its species, and developed countermeasures for its deadliest threats. The jungle that had killed thousands of enhanced warriors and drone units had become her home. When the extraction signal came at the end of the trial period, the monitoring station detected something unprecedented. The human was approaching the pickup coordinates, but she wasn't running. She was walking at a leisurely pace, and according to the sensors, she was carrying approximately 40 kilograms of processed biomaterial. The extraction team found her at the designated clearing, a neat pile of organized samples beside her. But what caught their attention was what she carried, an armload of carefully selected wood expertly cut and seasoned. "Firewood," she explained to the bewildered Verdanian recovery team. "Kethmoran ironwood burns clean and hot. Figured the research station could use some quality fuel for their lab furnaces." Commander Zethka stared at the reports in disbelief. The jungle that had claimed thousands of the galaxy's most dangerous warriors had been treated like a weekend camping trip by a single human. She hadn't just survived, she had improved the place. As Dr. Chen's transport departed Kethmoran, carrying her samples and her firewood, the jungle seemed somehow diminished. The ancient malevolence that had made it the galaxy's most feared proving ground had been reduced to a simple resource management problem. In the depths of space, the Verdanian High Council began to reconsider their assessment of humanity. Perhaps the galaxy had been asking the wrong question. It wasn't whether humans could survive the universe's dangers. It was whether the universe could survive humanity's peculiar talent for turning everything, even cosmic horrors, into useful tools. The betting pools reopened with new odds. This time, they weren't wagering on human survival. They were betting on which death world would be humanity's next vacation destination.